Okay, can you unmute yourself and tell us what you've learned so far? Mr. Abdul.
Hello, good evening. This is Abdul Majid Salihu. I'm joining from Legislature.
All right, go ahead.
It's been a wonderful session, and I am really glad to be part of the program. I have learned, the first thing I learned, and I was so much happy about knowing that the media is the first estate in a democratic setting. And secondly, there was this one of the teachers. I can't remember his name precisely. I remember where he said, "You cannot clean a dirty house from outside with a broom standing outside, no matter how strong you are." Meaning that you cannot change the system without joining the system, joining a political party for us to propagate the change we want to see in the system. So these are more as the things I have learned so far. I am putting them to use in my own environment. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Salihu. That was a wonderful one. You cannot change your system if you are not in the system. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us. So what steps have you taken so far? Have you joined a political party yet?
I was a member of People Democratic Party before, but after the section, now I am considering to go back and register as a member again.
All right, that's wonderful.
I'm going to do that. Yeah.
All right, that's wonderful. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to call the last person, Dukas Peace, because you're starting by 5:05. So Dukas Peace, you can go ahead and share with us what you've learned so far, how the class has been, and what you started implementing. Thank you, Dukas Peace. Just in 1 minute.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Class has been amazing. I have been able to learn how to participate, the difference between politics and governance, and how to engage, how to participate. And what I've done so far, I have been able to register with a political party. And I now understand where the problem is when dealing with executives, legislatives, the fourth estate, and all. I know exactly what their jurisdictions are, so I know how to hold them accountable. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Dukat Peace. Thank you. I'm glad that you're saying you now know the difference between governance and politics, because for most of us, even before I attended the electoral college course, I never knew the difference between governance and politics, but it was here that I got that knowledge. Thank you so much. So right about now, I would like to be introducing our facilitator for today. It's someone you guys know very well, and he's been a frequent face since this course started. The one man that I know as a detribalized Nigerian, and the person that took the chance on Electoral College, which is why all of us are here today. The Executive Director of Electoral College, Mr. Kunle Lawal. So I'm going to read out his profile, and after that, it's going to.
I'm sure they already know the profile by how. So I don't think there's a reason for it. Today I'm quite in a relaxed mood, and it's a pleasure to be here. So Mr. Godson, able Deputy Director, Southeast. I think it's you just pass the mic to me. I'm not sure they want to read the profile again and have to go through quite a long set of stuff.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. So you guys have been, listening to the profile all over again. So at this point, Edie, sir, you can go ahead. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, you said sir 2 times, which means you owe me 2,000 naira. So thank you very much, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with the 7th cohort again. I'd like to thank you all for the time you've taken to be part of this. I'm happy that as the classes are advancing, we're really moving far ahead, far forward. I'm happy with what's being done. Happy with exactly the thinking. As we've been going forward into things, I must say I'm very proud of the class. The Electoral College is proud of you. We are also proud of everything you've done while being in this class. And I also like to thank you you've taken your time and you've given quite enough of the resources to ensuring this is done. So while the slides will come up very soon, we have 34 people around here today. I look forward to having a very good class with you guys, which is always the standard which is obtainable by everyone here. So today's course will be bill proposition in the legislative, and is taken by how would I put it? Class taking those classes. Myself, Kunila, and it's a pleasure to be here. Moni, please, could you move to the next? Thank you very much. First, I'd like to ask, before the class proceeds, whether everybody, you could just signify in the chat box whether everyone has had a chance to look at the slide, because it was placed on the group. Now, I think by now we should all understand the tradition of the class, understand the tradition of everything going on. Yes, everything we're doing going on. So everybody knows slides come for the classic. There's going to be a slide facilitate profile to place picture of class time. Zoom link was also provided before time. But I think you're the most loyal 34. And it's more in, I'd like to say something first. It's more in here. More in here. More in here. Lisa, are you there? Godson. Godson, are you here?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Maureen is here, but I think she's not saying anything. She's here.
Okay. Still, let Maureen know that for the 38 that attended this class, the ED is personally giving them 10% towards their certificate. I personally will do that because I think this is, I'm looking at the names, this is a loyal 38, and I have decided to show my own loyalty to them too. So Maureen should respect as regards to that certificates or not. So thank you for this pleasure here today. The proposition legislative, so we're going into the class itself, and then now we'll start with the definition. Of course, a bill is a proposal for a new law or a proposal to change an existing law that is being presented before any of the houses of legislation. Now, over the classes, I'm sure you've been told which are houses of legislation. Of course, we have at the local government level, the council. When you move up, you have the State House of Assembly. And notcher is the Federal House of Representatives, and then the Senate, otherwise known as the Red Chamber. Now, a lot of people tend to wonder, bill. Well, the bills we're talking about are not the bills you receive after a night out or watching an Arsenal game, or what you receive after a makeup, making yourself up before your wedding. No, these bills are, of course, potential laws that we know could affect every citizen. And there's something we need to learn about. We must take into consideration saying, while bills are being proposed, these laws are always for people. So sometimes it's not about who is representing you. It's a senator from Kano would effect a law that would affect you in Bayelsa and vice versa. When it comes to the State House Assembly, someone from give or take, Etiosa would effect a bill that would affect you in Ikeja. When you come down to local government level, I think someone in, let me use Lagos for this. No, let me use Abuja for this. Someone in Kuje could effect a bill affecting you in Legislature or AMAC, to be precise, using the municipal councils. So bills are introduced by the council, of course, in local government, State House Assembly. When both houses have agreed on a bill, that's at federal level is being presented to the president for assent. Same will happen if it were at state level, that would be to the governor. Now, we understand that even as private individuals or CSOs like the Electoral College, we can forward bills to the House. It's just a key thing. Bills presented, and when we mean sponsor, we don't mean backed by money. We don't mean backed by money. Hello, can you hear me? Somebody's mic is not muted, and I think could they mute that mic, please? Where there or more? Please, could you mute your mic? Thank you very much.
Let me bite.
Okay, I've done that. So thank you. Could we continue with the class, please? Of course, private individuals can work on bills, and of course, they must be brought on the floor by a member of the House. Now, what's most crucial here at this point? It means that you can bring the bills and present them to the House, and bring the bills, and you get what must be someone in the House who must sponsor them. And by sponsor, we do not mean bring out 40,000. By sponsor, we mean a member of the House places it on the floor of the House. That's what sponsoring a bill means. So in most times, I know within the legislative, you learned sometimes representatives don't, how would I put it, sponsor a bill. It's not backed by finances, it's backed by intelligence and thought and a practical move to change a law or bring a new law or amend a law. And that's what sponsorship is. Lisa, could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Now, we will go into, of course, steps to creating a bill. Now, these steps, of course, are individual steps. The first stage will be introduction and origin of the bill. So, of course, in introduction, this, of course, states the system in which somebody presents a bill. So now this particular law that maybe has been affecting people and wasn't so straight. And then that would be like, let me give an example of one that not too young to run bill. It was an existing law, and they decided, okay, you know what, we need to adjust the age. So the age was just an amendment within the course of time. That's just the age, 30 to 40, or bringing down 25 to 30, 25 being the lowest age to be able to run for State House of Assembly, I think, also. So those are of course, the kind of bills that you're just amending an already existent bill. And of course, in the introduction of the bill, there's a bill that is a whole totally new thing, like the ones, the gender bill, which wanted 35% affirmation for women in political offices and etc. Or the one for special seats. I think the one for special seats is already one for affirmation. So the origin of the bill is marked by, of course, presentation by a member of the House or somebody participating in the system and other parts of this thing. And there's an initial review after it's being presented to the House. That's the next part of it. Of course, this is done by, of course, members sitting in the House, whether it should be taken in or should be considered or whatever. And then the initial vote is being done about it. The third part will, of course, be gazetting. Now, gazetting will mean informing the public that such a bill, because you represent people in the House, in whatever level you are in the House, federal, state, or local. You are representing a lot of people, and it's the duty for them to know, they're mandated by law to, of course, carry the people along when they're making such decisions. They can't just appear with a bill at the end and tell everybody this is the bill came up of. So gazetting involves, informing the general public initially of what is going to be done and how it's going to be done. Next will be the first reading. First reading, of course, presented in front of whatever House it's going to be brought in front of. And at that point, you, of course, have to deal with members, listening to it, trying to adjust, trying to put in this, trying to put in that. And then if it's voted upon to move to second reading, it moves to the second reading. Within second reading, of course, the same process of, vetting, it's like this, like that, like this, like that, like that, like that. But now, once it's voted to pass the second reading, it moves into a committee stage where we set up a committee that's going to look into that bill. That committee is going to be made up of members of whatever house these bills emanate from. And now this committee would, of course, look at the entire system, try to and say, okay, this goes this way, this goes this way, that goes this way. And the committee stage, of course, comes up with a lot of things. Then committee now comes out with the reports. Now, the committee is also considering outside influence, whether the people are happy with the bill, whether rights organizations are saying the bill is against law. Like, I'll give an example, like with the social media bill, that bill that was to try and hamper social media. Hello. Can you all hear me? Somebody can just signal yes. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can. Thank you very much. So at the committee stage, all these things are being reconsidered and, of course, being done. And the committee, of course, comes up with the reports. Now, this report is based on, okay, how did this go? How did people think of this? How was this done? How was this go? If we present it as it is, will it be good? And then they come up with a clean copy. Now, the clean copy is the final thought of everyone in the event of this thing. So next, we move on to the concurrence. Now, concurrence is just an example. Now, this doesn't happen because they don't have a camera or Legislature. This happens at the top. So this involves if the bill was actually finalized at the House of Rep or was finalized at the Senate. Concurrence will involve both of them going through the system and trying to get things done at a particular level, and trying to see if both houses agree on it. And once both houses agree on it, concurrence is being submitted to the president for assent, which is the final stage of government at this point for assent. Everybody gets to assent at a particular point. Can I move on to the next slide, please? So there are two types of bills. The executive bills, which of course emanate from the executive arm of the government. I taught you guys that president, minister, governor, commissioner, people within cabinet, local government chairman, and these are bills which apply to the person, state, local government, or country. And any part of this bill on subject matter, of course, which the National Assembly, sorry, I used Parliament here. I'm very sorry, I apologize for that. Please correct that Parliament to, I don't know why I was thinking of Parliament and I don't know what's in my head. So the National Assembly, of course, has power under the Constitution to make law. So even though it's submitted by the executive, it is the task of the legislative at any point, as whether at state or federal or at local level. So of course, go through these executive and then they go through this process, which I mentioned earlier, to present forward. And there are private bills, of course, like I mentioned earlier, a private member or person can originate a bill, but it must be sponsored. Even an NGO can, but it must be sponsored by the member in the house. That house, of course, help effect the bill going somewhere. So this help lobby also. Bills, of course, there's something about bills. Of course, when you present a bill, you have to have run it across your friends or run it across a few, and then try to run a few things and say, okay, is this working? Is this working this way? Is it working that way? Because if it's not working as it's supposed to work, then I must say clearly that the bill will not get passed. So sometimes a lot of work is being done, but of course, we must always remember that sometimes a few factors come into decisions with bills. So you have people's thought processes. You have people thinking that the bill is not like the general bills. You had people saying it was an infringement on their religion. It was an infringement on this. It was an infringement of that. So you get all those thought processes. That's what lobbying actually is for. Lisa, could I have the next slide, please? That's what the next slide is for. And then this, of course, helps put forward things. Now, I'm not trying to complicate this class for one particular reason. This class is just showcase how bills are done in the legislature. It's an addendum class to what you've learned in the legislative and other parts of within the college. So we're just trying to make it, holistic. So now the process expectations. Of course, within creating bills, one of the first things that are totally needed within the whole system, within the National Assembly, and of course within everybody going to participating within the system, is participation by all process. Participation in the process by artists. This involves NGOs, CSOs, the electorate itself, representatives. Like sometimes when some bills are being put forward for first reading, you would have the sitting of less than, let's say, 48 senators or 200 and less than 200, 110 House of Rep members. By the time the second reading, maybe there will be 200 House of Rep members and maybe 100 6 senators in the House. Past first reading, now everybody would be like, what? This has reached second reading. No, we don't want this, we don't want this. So the bill, of course, has to be carry along everybody in the process, and this is how the process gets to the end. Most of the time, if we didn't have such a shaky legislature, we probably would have a more efficient one. And these are questions where now there must be inclusiveness in this decision making. So were the people living with disabilities brought into the conversation? Were women brought into the conversation? Were youth consulted proposition? Where this and all these things come into factor in the process, general for a bill to get passed. Thirdly, will be equity in the house. Now, within any house, give or take, you really at any point in time have a balance between both parties. Now, this is funny because if there's no equity in the house and people are making decisions, it might falter. Now, look at the gender bill. Some were supposed to pass. Like, I didn't think that, if a woman was getting married to a man that was a foreigner, I didn't think we should try and stop his citizenship eventually. Yeah, there are reasons of security, etc., but I didn't think it should be stopped. I think maybe a particular number of years should be added to the bill so that, of course, once you marry a Nigerian woman, you can naturalize to becoming a Nigerian. But because there were so few women in the house, equity did not discharge itself. Instead, what happened was like, well, man, who cares? We can marry anybody and the women can naturalize, let them fight their own war. And that was what eventually happened as regards that bill. And it's a big, it got a big no. And that's now, within any house or whatever, there must be country before partisanship. In a state, there must be state before local government thoughts. And these few differences tend to sometimes, okay, this bill came from someone in my party. No, I don't want PDP people to be happy. So even though this bill is good, I'll not allow it pass. You have such emotional sentiments and a lot of problems. Another thing there's for the process to, of course, affect itself properly and get stuff done properly would be proper deliberation. Now, proper deliberation is key to how everything functions generally. So there must be proper deliberation, there must be long sit out about these things, because once these things receive assent, they are law to the Nigerian people. You will need another process to undo it, a whole massive process. Then, lastly, there must be attendance in the house. And this attendance will refer to everybody. Like, the Senate has open house sittings, so does the House of Reps, so does State House of Assembly. These open house sittings enable people to be at least abreast and watch what exactly is going on when laws are being made for the people and the electorate in the country. Now, I will tell you that the foundation of democracy is based on the legislature. So if you go back to the history of democracy and it starting in Greece, you will find out that it was first representative government, and that was houses coming together and everybody representing his house, family, or his clan. And then, they decided on the things that went on in Athens. But proceeding down the line as Greece trying to spread, Rome and Greece were trying to spread the message of democracy. You find out that they knew that they started to understand that the cultures they were trying to influence had kings. And kings were in monarchical position. And because they already had kings, I think somewhere along the line, and now there's no quote saying this, but if you study human behavior, you know that to sell democracy, you had to put a figurehead. That's when the president came along. Well, it's a hypothesis by me, I must add that part, but it kind of makes perfect sense to how the basic parliamentary system of Greece turned out to the presidential system, which you look at now, that we see practiced in America and Nigeria. So this was a short class. It just went through everything. I would like to take questions after this. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Edie. That was a very wonderful class. Please, if you have any question for our executive directors, you can raise your hand now and ask your question. All right.
Oh, wow. Are you trying to tell me there was no question at all? Okay, hands were raised up. I can see two now.
Yeah, hands are coming up now. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to call you according to how you raise up your hand. So if I call you, you unmute yourself and ask your question. So first we are going with Mr. Toluwanimi Divine. Mr. Toluwanimi, you can go ahead and ask your question, sir. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, college. Good evening, sir, ED, and thank you, the convener of this class. Okay, so I kind of like came in like 5:17, and I think I still got at least some knowledge added to my knowledge base. So the question that's actually been bothering me about this bill passage and formulation and everything is, we have people, representing the constituencies, and we see that most of them, it's either they are not actually proactive, they don't even, sponsor any bill or, pick up any bill to sponsor or something, or they actually have just one bill that they have sponsored, while we have, compared to other representations that probably are doing maybe 20, 10. Sorry, I just want to know, is the number of bills like requisites to judge a representation from a particular constituency? Because I think we are actually considering that's something that it's paramount. So we usually use it. Is it like a requisite, to judge our representation? Is it the fact that, okay, if they actually are able to sponsor one bill, that shows that they are probably not too proactive, we probably should recall them back? Or when they have 20, that we actually believe that they're doing well? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toluwajimi. So I need to first say this. Of course, you're in your legislative class, and I'm sure while legislative class, you taught the basic principles of how to. I'm sure also that we know that you've heard mentioned within the electoral college class that constituency projects are non-constitutional and function that can be adapted by only Nigeria or the Nigerian legislature. So I'll ask you a question, Mr. Tolu, and this is just to help the class. So there were two senators in the 8th Assembly, Senator Dino Melaye and Senator Ben. This is just like a class exercise. So Senator Dino Melaye and Senator Ben. Who do you think was the better senator? I'll just ask you that question. Feel free to answer. There's no wrong answer.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I didn't get the other senator's name. You said Senator Dino Melaye and which other one, sir?
Senator Ben Mori.
Okay. Okay. Geez, this is strong.
There's no wrong answer. You could just answer.
Okay, I think I'll give it to Senator Murray Bruce then.
Beautiful. Could I open this class for a bit? Godson. Okay, let me not open the class without meeting. What will happen? Just type Ben Murray Bruce or Dino Melaye, who you thought was a better senator. I'd like to see that in the chat box. So no, I'm still with you. So I'd like to see what's going on in the chat box, please. Everybody should just drop. There's no wrong answer. Just Dino Melaye, Senator Ben Murray Bruce, Dino Melaye, Senator Ben Murray Bruce, Dino Melaye, Senator Ben Murray Bruce. Wow, we're getting an average here. So, so as not to keep everybody waiting on the exercise, I'd like to explain something. So, the common sense senator, which is Ben Murray Bruce, 3 bills proposed. All of them were on oil exploration, 0 bills passed. Senator Dino Melai, I think 9 bills passed, 8 or 9, I cannot remember. Senator Dino Melai is one of the highest, or is the highest as of I know, is the highest performing legislator in Nigerian history. Forget the songs and whatever. He did what he went to do in the House, which was pass bills, amend bills. That was what his work was. So, Mr. Tolu, have I been able to answer your question? Hello, is he there?
Mr. Tolu, are you here?
Yes, you have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Edie. Okay, before I call the next person, I want to read one question from the chat box. And please, you can mute yourself before I call you. All right. So there's a question in the chat box from Charles Adekunle. He said, I would like to ask, you mentioned the process of different bills getting to the House. To the best of my knowledge, if we, the public, must be on the know of any bill going on to the floor of either the Senate or the House of Assembly, is this really done?
No, I'm very concerned with National Assembly, and National Assembly actually does it. The question is, do we, the people, really care? So, but I cannot speak for states. And here is why I cannot speak for states. Generally, within the states, each state differs. I know states of House of Assembly, I don't even think they go to work. They're like a ghost town. And this is because the people also do not understand what they're supposed to do. They feel that the State House of Assembly is just to wait for cars coming from the governor, which has become a tradition and stuff. That's why we have these classes, to help educate the electorate to understand how exactly these processes should go. I'll go down to even campaigning, which I've seen about from legislative. And I'll tell you something. So I have a common saying, and this might not be nice, but it's not because I'm nice, it's because it's what it is. So I always say that the only difference between the only difference between an old politician and a young politician most of the time is that the younger politician can use Instagram Live. It sounds funny, it sounds like a joke. But when you get to see what young politicians put up on their posters, you find somebody that is running for legislative position putting zero hunger. Are you United Nations? Are you a charity foundation? The basis is that we as a people don't even know who to elect into such positions. You have people talking about, I'll give education, I'll give electricity. You can propose bills that would fit such parameter. What you cannot do is say those are executive functions. Deliverance of such objectives is an executive function. So a State House of Assembly is complacent, yes. I think the most complacent is the closest to you, which are councillors who don't even know their job at all. So you see, you have councillors and they'll say Speaker of the Council, they'll be hailing themselves. The Speaker has never held a meeting or has held a sit down of councillors. And that's a mega problem. So I think because the people don't know, and because the politicians too don't know, we have a quagmire. I hope Chris is satisfied with that answer. It's my namesake. Okay, then let's move on.
All right, thank you so much, Edie. Charles Adekunle, I hope your question has been answered. All right, okay, you've acknowledged. Right, we'll move over to the next person, Abdul Majid Salihu. You can go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you. Abdul Majid Salihu.
All right, thank you once again. Good evening, class. Sorry,
You're welcome.
I was having a network issue here. I couldn't hear when the ED was explaining about the field sponsorship. That's what I actually want to know about, because before now, despite the fact that I served in the National Assembly, I was always thinking the bill sponsorship involves paying a legislator pay money to sponsor a bill. When I heard bill sponsor, I was always thinking maybe they are paying money to sponsor a bill. So I was quite conversant with some of their activities in the house back then. But the bill sponsorship was always a problem to me. Then that how did they sponsor bill? Is it that you are going to pay money? So when you were explaining that aspect of it just now, it was unfortunate that my network was not too good and the line was always just breaking. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'll go back on that again. Sponsorship of a bill is just dropping the bill on the house. The reason why you saw what you saw, which is what's not supposed to happen, is that we have people in the house that do not even understand their job jurisdiction. So they pay people. They have legislative aids, but they rather pay other people to help them write bills to make them look good, and that's once in a while. So that's why it looks like there's a monetary thing to the sponsor. Sponsorship is used anywhere in the world, which just refers to the ability to be able to place a bill on the floor of the house. That's what it's called, sponsorship. So I hope you now fully understand what we're talking about at the moment.
The fact that you also address the aspect of we Nigerians, many Nigerians, majority of us, we do not know the function of the legislator from the executive. It baffles me when I see an aspirant placing a poster promising education, you construct road. I used to tell people, I said, these things are not the function of legislators. This is their function, and this is Dinomila is the perfect example. You see him talking, sponsoring, contributing, and that's their work. Go to committee, when it comes to committee level, investigation, posting questions to maybe the NDA during investigation and all those things. And people will still be telling me, no, don't you see that senator? Don't you see that one? He came to kind of prep the tailoring machine and all those things. I say, well, those things are not part of their function, but it's like we have corrupt the system and the system have corrupt our mind that a senator must come and construct roads or construct a block of classroom in the community, which is not supposed to be so. Those things can be put into a bill for the constituent to benefit from them, but not really mean that he must come and this project was being sponsored by Senator so they will commission, they will celebrate and all those things. It's not their work. Thank you very much, sir. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Wait, I need to say something here. So the 52 in this class. I want to tell the women of this class something, and they need to understand this. We have more women in functional position, and we have men within the electoral college working the region. True or false, Godson?
Very true, sir. We have more women. Very true, sir.
Men are even marginalized. So I do not understand when we're having such discussions, and a few of us are fighting for increased women participation, but we don't have questions from you guys or engagements during the class. It's really sad. It hurts me, I won't lie, because I'm looking at it that you can only engage a system you understand. You can only be picked when you've sat down at the dining table. They don't serve you food if you're away from the dining table. So women need to be able to participate more. And I get to see hands and mostly guys. Please, where are the women in this class?
Okay. Okay, the next question is going to come from a woman. I'll read it from the chat.
No. But should we play a song that will entice them? What's that song they always been? Well.
Okay, sir. Can I go ahead with the next question, sir? Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So the next question is coming from the chat, and I'm going to read it. The question is from Tina. Tina asks, does that mean that the gender bill, for example, was thrown out because we had few women in the house?
It depends on which of the bills. There are multiple bills. There are about 5 bills that was involved with females at that time. So if it's one of special seats, I wasn't behind it, and it didn't make sense because The word special connotes the fact that they will not have voting rights. The Constitution is very clear on how constituencies are being separated. So they can't flagrantly predetermine to the Constitution seats that don't make sense just so that women could be in the room. Next, even if they were going to divide it on a regional basis, are you going to tell me Lagos East will bring woman while Lagos West will bring man? At this point, political parties as backed by the electoral acts, it gives them the freedom to play their primaries, some democratic, to try to alter it. Do we need more women in government? Yes, but it has to be an organic process so that it lasts. If you force it their government, you have women that don't even deserve to be in the position, and then you now shed light on their competence, which will reverse it. It's better if it goes organically and we have people that, of course, can participate in the system and then try to get things done. So did the one of marriage fail because, maybe because people could not, most guys who actually fill up the house will not understand why a woman should marry a foreigner and they should be part of, should be able to naturalize. That's another argument. That will now be based on the thought process of the kind of people we have there taking decisions for us. So a lot of factors come into play. And I'll just like to leave it at that. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Tina. I hope your question was answered. So we'll move over to the next person. Obim Stanley, you can unmute yourself and ask your question now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I have one little issue that I don't need a little clarity, and that is on the basis of if a bill that was rejected or was denied by the House, and can that kind of a bill be brought back, not instantly, maybe, because there are times that there might be a bill that is actually for the good of the people, and somehow, a majority of the members of the House reject the bill and the bill was not passed. Can the bill constitutionally, can the bill be represented or be sponsored by another member of the House again? That's my question, sir.
Can even be sponsored by the same person that brought it, as long as the bill is being modified a little bit, cut out the part that eventually got it through. So there is no law saying you can't bring it back. But remember that if you bring back what was thrown out, to be thrown out again. So you have to modify it to the exact position in which the bill now suits all parties concerned. That's how it will stand.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you so much, Edie. The next question I'm going to read from the chat. The question is from Festus Yahaya. He asks, what if the general public are against the bill? Can the bill be thrown out mainly because of that reason?
Yes, a good example is the social media bill. They were trying to sneak it below. The gazetting done was very poor. It was not really announced. It was just put on the board, I think. And when the public uproar rose up, you can remember that the bill was actually thrown out. We've not heard of it since then. The bill that was to restrict social media. And that, of course, can happen. So it does happen if the public does not support. But the public has to generally make a big outcry against it, considering the kind of representatives we have. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Edie. Festus Yahaya, I hope your question was answered. So we'll move over to the next person. Adewale, can you unmute yourself and ask your question? Adewale, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Edie, for that wonderful lecture, and thank you for the 10%. I have two questions. My first question is that, do I have to lobby myself as a representative of the people, as a senator, as an honorable member? Do I have to lobby myself with the speaker to get my bill accepted? Because we can see situations whereby probably the speaker does not like your face, he will not call you in the plenary. probably because you are not in his party or you are not in good times with the speaker or whatsoever that is or the Senate president, he might not call you. So do I have to go and lobby myself with the speaker or the Senate president, as the case may be, to get my bill accepted as a duly elected member in the House? Then the second question is that, do we have a time frame whereby?
Let me answer your first question. You know, when I have two questions.
All right, sir.
So the first question, the answer goes this way. Now, it's your job as a representative to lobby people, regardless of whether the speaker likes your face or doesn't think you're your party. Your job is to lobby. So if you're planning to go to the House and just read something and nothing gets done, that's your job. That's your failure as a representative. So the speaker can't shut you up when other senators, when you formed a block that, look, we have to pass this bill, I'll support you on the other bill. And it happens a lot across political parties. You say, man, I have this bill. That bill where you want, you have my own support. And the other two bills you want to sponsor. But this one, let me have your support. And it transcends party. Trust me, the speaker wants 2 or 3 senators say no, must listen to this. The speaker has no choice, whether he likes your face or not. He's just there to maintain. He's not, even the speaker has 1 vote. He's not bigger than anybody. It's just so that everybody remains, within decorum. That's his job. So you can simply, lobbying is a required skill. We're not in a country with so poor a legislature. Lobbying is the key, what they call it, is the key attribute of anybody in the legislative. You must be able to sneak around the whole thing. So you can ask your second question. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. The second question is that, do we have a time frame whereby a bill will be introduced and passed? Because there are times that there are bills that are introduced in the House that it will take longer time to pass. In fact, there are times that it will, at the end of that assembly, probably in the 8th assembly or the 7th assembly, the bill might not be passed. Do we have a time frame that the bill will be passed? There was a time, I think it was in Kano or something, when the emir wants to be removed. They passed the bill overnight, and probably the governor introduced the bill, and the bill was passed within the twinkle of an eye. And there are some bills that were on the floor of the House that they might not even be passed, or might not even see the light of the day. So do we have a time frame for such bill, any bill, to be passed?
Okay. In a country like Nigeria, where the legislature doesn't actually represent the people, that's why you have situations like that. There's no time frame anywhere in the world for when a bill is supposed to be passed. This is because when bills are passed, they become law. So new evidence can come out to show that law might not work, or new situations in which we might find a particular part of it's contradicting a particular section of the Constitution, or that law contradicting the endangering lives of people, must always be looked at. So there's no time frame. But naturally, in civilized countries, people just finish a bill and they want to move on to the next one. As in, they're trying, the competition to see how many bills you've walked through. But here is lazy, and then we have bills in 90 pages. I forgot to add this part. The bill can be just 1 line. It doesn't have to be a whole celebratory 360 pages. That doesn't make sense. Nigeria, is peculiar, like you said, wanted to remove an emir, and you saw the action of the State House of Assembly. But meanwhile, they still have pending education bills which can help enrich the children of Kano State, and it's on the floor. So there's no time frame for bills, actually. Hope that's okay.
So if a bill was not passed at the end of an assembly, can it continue by the next assembly? Like a bill was not passed at the end of the 8th assembly, can 9th assembly continue in the process?
It depends on where the bill has reached. One, if it has not reached committee stage, it will not be brought back, except the person who sponsored it is still in the assembly. If he won his election, he will just reintroduce it for the next tenure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Adeolu.
All right, thank you so much, Edie, for that. So we have the next person, Justin. your question. Justin, unmute yourself and ask your question. Justin Fadumu.
Good evening, Edie, and everyone in the house.
Good evening, Justin.
Yes, my question is simple. I want to know if party actually have influence over sponsoring a bill. Like there are a lot of party in the house, and maybe the lesser party want to sponsor a bill, and the majority of them will, even though the bill has to do with national interest. Does party affiliation make the other party, the majority party, to oppose it or to delay it?
It depends. It happens everywhere in the world. It depends.
Okay.
Those that are together are stronger. But the difference, you remember I said the process of passing a bill, and I said partisanship is one of the things, country before partisanship. So in situations where the bill is actually necessary for the country, it should just be passed. Although we have a personal vendetta problem in Nigeria, which of course we tend to dislike people who are not us. Yeah, that could happen. It doesn't make it correct. I'm done. No? I said it happens, but it doesn't make it correct.
Okay, sir.
Wait,
Thank you, sir.
now, thank you very much. Godson, we have to mandate a girl to ask a physical question. I don't know what's going on. Which girls are in this class? I'm going to randomly call anybody.
All right. So should I call or you want to call, sir?
You call so that I don't look biased.
All right. All right. So Angelina, when you can ask a question now.
Did you call the first person you saw?
The first person I saw here is Angelina. So Angelina, ask a question.
Or you can make a comment.
Or you can make a comment, Angelina. All right, a woman is raising up. And Dukas, please, you can ask your question now.
Okay, I thought you were going to call me. Okay, thank you, Edie, for the session. My question is, actually, I joined the class and then my network shut me out at some point when you were explaining steps in creating a bill.
This particular
And
class.
I didn't really get that gazetting because I feel it's a very important stage.
Slow down, Lucas. Thank you very much for your question. This class is being recorded on YouTube. I'll share the link after that. Gazetting refers to the public being informed of bills that the House, whatever House or whatever level of legislature is working on.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes. Did you hear what I said?
No, I didn't get you.
Maybe Lucas, your network is probably poor. So I'll share the recording of this class in the group. So maybe you watch.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Because your network is poor, you won't get it. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Edie. Thank you, Dukas. So you are going to get the class, right?
Wait now. Somebody else. I've never heard. Okay, Tina has. I've heard Ruth's voice before. Who is Lucy? You? All of a sudden, people are trying to form their mic is not working. Lucy, are you?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Lucy. I said all of a sudden, female mics are not working.
Oh, no. We've just been listening. Or personally, I've just been listening.
But you can only learn when you engage. If you're too quiet in the class, you might miss a lot of things.
Yeah, sorry.
So what did you get from the class today?
At least one thing I got was at least to pay attention to bills that are passed by senators personally or by people that are in the House. So if we don't make the effort, you might not know who has recommended a bill or whose bill has been passed, basically. like with the examples that you gave with Dino Melaye and Ben Murray Bruce. So it's like something for me to now go and research, especially for people representing my constituency, to see how many of them have been active in the House. At least that's one key takeaway for me.
Thank you very much, Lucy, for standing up for your gender. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Falodo Oluwatosin. Falodo. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the Yoruba. Falodo Oluwatosin. I'm not going to answer any question on the 35% affirmation bill. Yeah. Then I think we should ask your questions directly.
Good evening, Hidi.
Good evening. Who's speaking?
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm actually connected to so I
You said?
just do that again.
Falodo, I can't hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I thought you had a question.
You said? No, I just wanted to ask you how was the class for you and what did you get from it? We're just trying to ensure that the women folk are followed.
Okay. I joined the classes actually. So I went to the slide and I was reading from the comment section and the question that was asked as well. So so far I've been able to understand what bill is actually and the rules of the legislature. I think someone was asking the other time, who is responsible? Okay, what stood out for me in the class was even when you said the general assumption in politics, and even the electorate are not, mostly aware. And someone will just come and say, okay, I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to do what after you, I'm going to do this. And their role is not, it's not that. So personally, one needs to enlighten ourselves or himself to contribute to politics. I think that's actually clear for me. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for participating in class. I've seen that Angelina's hand is up, so I'll allow her to ask a question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. This lecture is really awesome, and I really learned a lot from it. My question is about the 35 affirmative bill for women. So I don't know, how would this bill, and since the bill have been rejected by the Senate and the House of Rep promised to look into it, why the Senate is yet to. So we don't know how they are going to do it. I don't know.
I described something. You see, wait, I described something.
Okay.
It is houses that throw out the bill. In consideration made the House of Rep. The House of Rep finishes and agrees. A concurrence will be done with the Senate. So what they did was not give 35%, they gave 20%. They cut down the number. Though they are reconsidering now for upgrading the number back to 35%. So they didn't actually throw out the bill. They cut down the number to 20% participation within political parties, 35% affirmation within political parties. So it's up to the House of Reps looking at it, and I think it might pass. I don't think it's too much to ask for, but like we've always said within the class, I knew why you now raised your hand, because I said I wasn't going to answer it from the chat box, and that's because from your name I knew you were female, and I was wondering why you were typing it instead of asking me directly.
Oh, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I have Patricia and Nadi Pam. You can ask your question. Patricia, are you there?
Patricia, you can ask your question. Are you here?
Hello, Nenadi. Anyway, seems our hand is down. Do we have any new questions from someone else?
Yeah, we have other hands that are up here.
Okay, which one should we go with? It's up to you.
We have Joseph Udo. His hand has been up since.
Okay, Joseph Udo and Ume Elvis. Okay, so Joseph can go ahead with this question, then Ume after.
Okay. Good evening, Edie, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you very much for another wonderful class, another wonderful presentation. My question goes thus: can a bill, what makes a bill to be rejected at the parliament? What makes a bill to be rejected or thrown out at the parliament, even if?
Don't say parliament. I made the mistake in the slide. It's National Assembly.
Okay. In the National Assembly or in the State House of Assembly, what makes a bill to be rejected or thrown out, even if it's a pro-people bill? For I'll give an instance. Here in Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, some months back, I guess it was the last dispensation, a bill was thrown out. The bill was to regulate the charges made by families as regards marriages and burials when it comes to some traditional rites. Most members of the Akwa Ibom State House Assembly rejected the bill because, according to them, that the bill has to do with traditions that is not supposed to be brought to the House of Assembly. So my question is, does traditional practices or rights, the government not have control over them? And two, even when people were clamoring for that bill, because it was a pro-people's bill based on the exploitation that was going on when people occupying traditional stools use that position to exploit people during burials and during marriages. People were in support of the bill, but the bill was still thrown out. So what's your own idea? What's your own contribution towards that? Because
you first asked me that why is a bill thrown out? So let me ask you a question. You're a guy, no offense. Sure, like me, you've had some girls say, I'm not gonna date this guy. Do you know the reasons why they didn't date you? I'm asking you a question. You're laughing. So a bill can be thrown out for almost 1,000,001 reasons. Multiple, sometimes just because it came at the wrong time. It came on a hot day. It was the last bill. It was first bill. Sometimes actually because it doesn't make sense. But sometimes just for some basic reasons that everybody just doesn't feel it's cool, right? As regards that, you are my in-law, so I agree with that bill. Me, I'm going to go and fight for it in Akwa Ibom now. They should pay me back some. So when you get to it and you really look at it, the government, of course, is supreme. It supersedes customs, but a lot of times government doesn't like people in elected position don't like to interfere with tradition. And here's the reason why. If you took that out, when you come back for the election, the traditional people will be waiting for you. Do you understand?
Okay, so I didn't hear your last statement. If you threw that out or something.
That kind of bill out.
Okay.
The traditional rulers are annoyed. Just that when you come back for re-election, we'll see which traditional ruler is going to support
you. Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
It's not that government does not supersede tradition, but it's kind of like a balance. So they know when to and when not to sometimes.
Okay, sir. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Right, so we have many hands up now. So maybe I'll call them according to how they raise their hand up.
Everybody's hand has gone up.
Yeah. We have Olatunji. Olatunji, can you go ahead and ask a question now?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear me? Okay, I've enjoyed your class. It's been a wonderful session. Just a few questions. What is being done to change the narrative and enlighten the people on what their House of Rep members, Senate members representing their constituency are supposed to be doing? What is being done? That's question number one. I think you like to answer questions as they come, so I'll wait for you to answer that part. Yes.
Question number one, are you in this class?
Yes, I've been.
I got there, are you asking what's being done by government?
Yes. The practice that has been done.
I was wondering.
That's what I said. You are in this class. So basically, government has, the NOA, of course, has been a little behind, maybe because of underfunding and co, which is why people like the Electoral College and co have been performing within the system. But I think there is a little shroud and mystery that even government doesn't want you to understand it, because they know that if you understand it, you start making unnecessary demands. Thank you.
And we can't do anything about it.
You elected them. Okay, you elected them. Either recall or get them impeached, or wait for the next election and get them out and get people that will not think that will purpose of election.
Okay. That's a pretty sad one.
No, but that what is sad is not that you have the wrong people in government. What is sad is that we Nigerians are not ready to do what it takes to kick them out of office. That's what's sad. So we tolerate bad governance. We tolerate bad governance because we don't want to do anything about it. So me and you rather be crying, and then I'll borrow fuel from you, or borrow from Joseph, who just spoke, or borrow half bag of rice from Falodro Oluwatosin, or ask Gloria Edet to give me some fan so that I can survive, and not even think about the way life generally, should be. And we've been lax about it. So I think we accepted it. We are more to blame. So your second question.
So would I be right to say that sadly we've come to accept the narrative that the country is not going to change anytime soon?
Okay, let me ask you a question. A lot of people believe that. I choose not to believe that. I don't know what to say to tell you how much the Electoral College itself puts into education, training, a lot of stuff. And we're still receiving the response. So if you want to know why the country is not going to change fast, I wish you guys, you're a class of 816 or 820. Godson, how many are they? 876 or I don't know, there's 6 in it or something.
Yeah, it's over 800.
Yes, and only 56 are on this Zoom call. What does that tell you? I'm asking you a question. What does that tell you?
That we're not ready.
You said it, I didn't.
Okay. I think that'll be all from me.
You said?
That'll be all from me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I think we have Corey. I think I noticed Corey's hand come up with you. Corey,
yeah, Corey's hand is up.
Corey's hand is up. Corey, can go ahead. Okay, since Corey is not there, let's have Mayor Elvis. Mayor Elvis, are you there? Wow.
Yeah, hi, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Elvis. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How's everything?
Well,
all right. Great session again. I have two questions to ask. The first is the Nigerian Senate use. I know there are some parliaments that use electronic transmission of results in voting and for any bills passed, but Nigeria uses the yay and nay system. And there are some plenary sessions I've watched where it sounds almost, it's difficult to tell either whether the yeas have it or the nays have it, but in scenarios like that, it's almost as if it's at the whims of the Senate president to decide who he's giving it to, either yeas or nays, when it's almost balanced. Now, a situation like that, when it happens, if the senator that proposed the bill feels the yeas had it, but the Senate president gave it to the nays, how can he address that?
First and foremost, if I get your question, you're talking about sometimes Senate president alters what goes on within the.
Yes, it sounds that way to me. I don't know if, I mean,
he's using it, even if he wasn't biased, probably wouldn't get it right. I'm aware that and said the Senate are both have those automatic buttons which allow them votes. They have e-voting. The thing is that e-voting will also reveal which senator voted on which or which. It's been installed there, I think, since 2013, or I know sometime in the 7th attempt, but it's not in use. So we the people have to challenge them to use it so that we'll know who voted where, how, and numbers show. But we don't demand it of them. So Nigeria has just kind of wasted money. I was doing.
Oh, okay. There's a possibility for it to be electronically transmitted.
It's not it is installed in the house. It's already there.
Oh.
It's not to be installed. It is installed.
Wow.
We're just still trying to use the older way because we can still sway and say no.
Bad things. Oh. Oh,
okay. It's installed in the house. It has been there since the 7th assembly.
Okay. Okay. Then the second question I want to ask is, what's the tiebreaker? I know there are 109 senatorial seats in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think 109. And numerically, it's impossible for it to be split if everybody votes. But in a situation where maybe a senator is dead or not available or something, and the votes are split down the middle, what is the next tiebreaker? How they decide on whether that bill will be passed or not?
You know, that's a very rare occurrence, but in any even the situation of it occurs, it's very rare. But for it to happen, what happens is, okay, the decision will be taken again. It will be taken think about the new change of votes, giving time for the others, whoever proposed it to lobby, and for whoever hates it to also next day and deal with it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, Elvis. Thank you very much, Elvis.
All right, Edie, thank you. We have 2 more persons. Their hands are up. Toby Parallels. Mr. Toby, can you go ahead and ask a question?
Okay, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you so much for the lecture today. Quite interesting and inspiring. Okay, my question is on constituency projects. I want to know, is there any, like, an audit kind of to checkmate what was earmarked as a constituency project budget and what was actually spent? And also, in determining these constituency projects, is there any mechanism within the National Assembly, whether at the state or the national level, that looks at if these projects are evenly distributed across the constituents? That is my first question. Then my second question revolves around, sometimes we notice in the National Assembly, especially the Senate.
I'll answer the first question first.
Sir?
I don't like getting.
Okay, sir.
If it regards constitutional constituency projects, you remember we've said they are not constitutional, meaning they are not backed by the Constitution. Hence the poor checks and balances that we have within the constituency projects. Every senator is just kind of left to run wild and ride a horse into the sunset, which is an House of Rep, which is money allotted him. But if you look at work budgets, follow the money are doing, which are not even government institutions, they've been pinpointing and pointing at how much was spent, how much was really done, how much was allocated, and this has helped, hold some senators and House of Rep to a particular level of accountability. You can go on with your second question. I'm done.
Okay, sir. My second question revolves around especially the Senate. Over time, personally, I've observed that there are the red chamber is so big, accommodates virtually all the senators, but most of the times, it seems like there are some particular set of senators, distinguished senators, that are always present, like the ones that have some, maybe Senate President, the Chief Whip, and all those. Is there no process whereby it's ensured that as an elected member, especially the Senate, that you must be sitting in every sitting that has to do with electoral passing of laws into being? I want to know.
Actually, by law, everybody is mandated. It's like the office, you must go to office except you are sick or something else is wrong or whatever. But the situation we have in Nigeria, they go when they feel like and when they don't. And the only check and balance we have is we the people to recall them or to put them in a tight corner. And if we haven't done that, business is going to continue as usual. I'm done. Business is going to continue as usual.
All right, thank you so much, Edie. Mr. Toby, I hope your questions were answered. So we have Festus Yahaya. You have another question. So that's the last person that his hand is up. Then I will read some questions from the chat. That's all. Mr. Festus Yahaya.
Okay, good evening once again, Edie, and thank you for the presentation. My question is not actually about the class, but it's just something that I'm trying to get understanding about. It's this exclusive federal government list, and there are certain things that I feel personally shouldn't be there, but are there. I just wanted to explain to me why the federal government exclusive list exists and what it's there for.
That's I don't want to interject. I don't want to interject because for you to understand this thing we're going to talk about, we would have to go through the concluding part of the Constitution. Were you in the first part of the Constitution, the class?
Yes.
Yes, you were, but so the second part of the Constitution will cover that part. I think you rather just wait to clarify, because if I talk about it now, we're not going to finish here. So let's get to it and then deal with it. Would that be okay? So that it will be a process and you see.
Okay, thank you. It's okay, thank you.
Okay, then thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Edie. So I have just some few questions from the chat box. Can I read them? Like 3 questions from the chat.
Okay, first one.
Okay. The first person said, Dukas, please, is it possible for a bill to be passed and assented and the people who are affected by this bill don't find it favorable? If it's possible, how can the people affected counter it without staging a protest?
You recall now, I thought we've spoken about this a lot. You can move for a call, express your displeasure, write the Senate, write the president or the governor. There are multiple ways to do that. We've taught you all of them.
All right. The next question is from Adewale. He said, can a bill be discussed in a closed door section? And why, since it's a bill that affects millions of people?
No bill would be discussed in a closed door session because it's law and law affects all Nigerians. It will not be discussed in a closed door session.
All right, thank you, sir. Adewale, I hope you heard that. Then the final question here is from Abdul Majid Salihu. He said, I forgot to ask this question. When you listed the types of bill that we have, is it that we don't have legislative bill?
Is it that we don't have legislative bill?
Yes, legislative bill.
All bills are
mention of
all bills are legislative bills because they go through the legislature. So it's the types of legislative bills that you saw, the executive and private. Did you get to? All bills are
legislative bill.
They pass through the House. But the types of the legislative bill, which are executive and private, which pass through the House. All of them pass through the House, so they are all legislative bills. All, they are legislation.
All right. So thank you so much, Edie. I believe there is no other question, or do you have another question? That's all the question in the chat box, and no hand is up.
Okay, then. Thank you very much, Marco. It was a pleasure to be part of this class, and I hope. Anyway, I don't think we'll be seeing for a while, as Edie will be away for till almost the end of the class. So it's a pleasure to interact with the 7th cohort again. I look forward to a great conversation with you guys. On behalf of the board of the Electoral College, the region, we're very proud to have you guys. We're very proud to interact with you guys. And we're not trying to force knowledge on you. What we're trying to do is exchange knowledge and see how we could have a better Nigeria. Your class next week is supposed to be something good. I look forward to that going ahead well, working well. I hope you guys will all attend, and thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely evening. On this, I say
Okay, Edie, sorry for that. There one question, one person's hand is up, and she dropped her question on the chat board. Patricia, we were calling you earlier, but you didn't come up. Her question on the chat says, at what level will the bill be sent to the president for assent?
I think if you look at the PowerPoint, which is in the class, and we stated,
the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I think we stated at what point when the clean copy has been done and both houses concurrently have agreed to the bill, then it's being pushed to the president or the governor for assent. I stated that part, and I'll share the view to so that you could watch and maybe pick any part of it you missed in case because of network issues. So Godwin, I pass the class back to you to close. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you.
All right, thank you so much, Edie. Thank you. It was a very, very wonderful section and so much enlightening. I've learned a lot, and I believe everybody learned so much. So tomorrow, we have another class tomorrow, same time. So do well to be here and be present. So I want to thank everyone for participating in the class. I want to thank the head of class, Umi, Morin Yobo, and everyone that's been doing an amazing job to ensure that the classes has been very successful. Thank you so much. From here, it is a good night. Umi, I don't know if you have any other thing to say.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Well done, Edie.
All right. So thank you so much. So guys, have a lovely night rest. See you guys tomorrow, same time. Good night. Good night, Edie.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Edie. See you tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for the time.
That's so impactful.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, bye-bye.